You are doing it by choice, and you're doing it because you love it. And I know that sounds like lying to yourself, and in some ways it is lying to yourself, but it's lying to yourself in the context of a truth, which is that you want it to feel better. You want it to feel even pleasurable. Now, this is very far and away different from thinking about the reward that comes at the end, the hot fudge sundae for after you cross the finish line. And you can replace hot fudge sundae with whatever reward happens to be appealing to you. We revere people who are capable of doing what I'm describing.
Welcome to the Mindset by Design podcast with your host and NLP expert, Andy Murphy, where you will learn the tips, tricks, and strategies he teaches his world-class clients to give you the skills to dominate any business.
What's going on, Mindset by Design crew, and welcome to episode 384. Hope you're amazing, as always. And before we get into today's episode, I know you got that little clip at the start, and I know you're going to love it. And we got that Dr. Andrew Huberman, again, a clip from him that I break down on the show as normal. But I just want to congratulate you. You listening. You know, we've just done over 2 million downloads now. And yeah, I'm proud. I'm proud. We did it under, 383 episodes? That's not bad. And do you know what? I know hitting 3 million is going to happen very, very fast. I know we'll do it in 6 to 12 months. And then in 4, we'll double it and double it and double it and double it and double it. And it's just awesome. It's just awesome. So I'm proud because you made it happen. Awesome stuff. And I really do hope you're living a beautiful life today and your week's awesome. I'm sitting in a different country in Latin America. Yes, I get around, But I had some chaos in the last place. This is the thing I wrote a post on Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. Go look at it. Andy Murphy Mindset. Go and follow me somewhere. But it was about really life looking glamorous from the outside. Do you know what I mean? And I can live wherever I want in the world. I travel all the time. I can basically buy what I want. I stay in beautiful places. But behind the scenes, you know what I mean? It's like any job. It's a lot of moving parts. You're building a team. You're managing a team, right? I've just brought on 3 or 4 different people for lead generation. I've got salespeople there. This is all for the Unfair Advantage Academy for salespeople and entrepreneurs to double their income inside of 12 months, using my superpowers of 20 years, NLP, neuroscience, and biohacking. Right, so it looks glamorous from the outside, but the truth is, it's spreadsheets, it's communication, it's ideas, it's what I'm building over the next 2 days is wild, man. You have to get into these flow states, constantly being in flow states and peak performance to be able to perform and be creative at this highest level and do it consistently, day after day after day after day. Well, there's strategies, there's systems, and then the consequence or the result of that is you get to be wherever you want, whenever you want, and earn fantastic money. Do you know what I mean? But it all comes from helping people. And that was what this post was about, The stress, the pressure, it's all worth it in the end. So no matter where you are in your life, no matter what's going on, you probably know my story by now. The high highs, the low lows, the high highs. And the truth is, it doesn't matter where you are. You could be in the darkest depths of bankruptcy, a nervous breakdown. I've been there, right? You could have the biggest ideas. I've been there too. And it's awesome because the next decision that you make leads the next step forwards. The next step forwards leads to your future. Everything that you've done in the past, right? Every decision that you made in the past, well, guess what? That led you up to this moment. But every decision you make next builds the future, builds the future imagery in your brain. It changes the chemicals, your view, your perspective, the filter system, right? It changes who you are. And you can allow your life to radically shift. You can allow your life to unfold. You can allow yourself to expand. You know, that becomes a choice. Is it an easy choice? It's probably not, right? Probably not, man. Especially when you're in the moment and shit's going down and there's chaos going around you. It's not always easy to make a new decision. But those that can, and you can, those that can create what they want. And that's what you've got to get clear on. How do you want to experience your life? You know what I mean? And that's what today's clip's about. Well, today's episode, right? Because you know me by now. I break down clips of amazing people that I love. And because it's not just about me. I want to share as many awesome people with you as possible. That's why I built like a masterclass Netflix model of interviews into the Unfair Advantage Academy. Yes, I keep going on about the Academy because I love it and I'm proud of it and I'm building it right now. But that's the point, man. It's not just about me. It's about brilliant people. And there's so many incredible people in the world. I want to share them with you. And that's why I started the podcast. And it was just, that's the point, right? My job is to understand high performers' mental strategies of how they excel and do what they do. And then I elicit those things. I build them in patterns for people into the future, in business and money and success. Sure. I teach all the NLP skills on top of that. So it reshapes their brain, but also that's persuasion and influence, for salespeople. But the truth is, behind it all, I just want you to have an amazing life. That's all. I don't know if I'm going to wake up tomorrow. I have no clue. I do my best to every day, you know what I mean? But I have no idea. I really don't. So I want to make sure that everything I give to you today is the right thing. And it was interesting. I was talking to a client this morning who runs I think it's an 8-figure Amazon business. And I was saying, somebody said to me in the past, because we were talking about decisions, hence probably why I'm bringing it up, right? But we were talking about decisions. And it was interesting because one of my friends, she's the top female investor, trainer, and stock and Forex trader. And she's one of the top in the world. And she's been a client of mine, but she's also a really close friend of mine. And I remember years ago, a business partner let me down, and it used to be a pattern of mine years ago. And she just looked at me. And she's tough, she's a tough lady. But she just looked at me and went, pulled this face and put her shoulders and hands in the air and went, make better decisions. And you know what? That always stuck with me. It always stuck with me. Make better decisions. She's right? Take responsibility. Take responsibility. And that's what leads me to today's episode. So today's episode is actually, it goes into more depth, and I'm going to break this clip down because if you don't know Andrew Huberman, you definitely should. He's a head of, I think it's neurology or neurobiology at Stanford University. I'm sorry if I got that wrong, everybody, but he's definitely the head of the department at Stanford, right? But what he's talking about is his colleague was the one that invented or come up with the creation or the concept of growth mindset. You know what I mean? And growth mindset, people don't really kind of understand. It's a term, I get it, growth mindset. You've got to expand and move forward. Yes, that's part of it. But it's really about being able to trick your brain into releasing the right brain chemicals on your journey in moment to moment, right? Not just about being obsessed with the outcome. It's about being obsessed is the kind of the right word, but kind of the attachment to obsession we can't have. Conversation I'll probably get into. But it's being able to build the brain pattern and release the chemicals. So what you're doing in the moment, the task, becomes exciting. It becomes awesome. You like doing it because you're getting that reward mechanism in the brain. Does that make sense? So we shape that I shape that for clients. We're shaping that in the academy, and that's what creates rapid success, right? That's how we create high-level consistency. That's how we create results day after day after day after day after day. Does that make sense? I hope so. I hope that makes sense, right? So that's what today's episode about. So we're going to jump into it. But again, I just want to thank you for the downloads. You're part of that. Well, without you listening right now, without you, it wouldn't happen, right? So I do my best from my side to help you. But it's your choice. It's your choice. And speaking of choices, make sure that you're heading over to the Unfair Advantage online, so unfairadvantage.online, or just find me on social media. That's it. You could head over to andymurphy.online. You can do what there? Well, you can get a book that's going to be not there anymore because it's going to be part of something else. But you can just sign up for my list, and then you can get all the latest and greatest information, tips, and everything else, and you can find out when the academy is launched. But I'm pumped. Whole team's in place. Everything's built. Just putting the final touches, and we should be going this week next. And I'm pumped. I'm pumped to help you. I really am. Let's double your income. Let's make your life amazing. It's time. It's time. So head over there. Head over to the show notes. Get all the awesomeness, and I'll see you soon. Speaking of seeing you soon, let's jump into this episode, and I will see you at the end of the show.
The ability to access this pleasure from effort aspect of our dopaminergic circuitry is without question the most powerful aspect of dopamine and our biology of dopamine. And the beautiful thing is it's accessible to all of us. I will suggest a protocol by which you can achieve a better relationship to your activities and to your dopamine system. In fact, it will help tune up your dopamine system for discipline, hard work, and motivation. Hard work is hard. Most people don't like working hard. Some people do, but most people work hard in order to achieve some end goal. Because of the way that dopamine relates to our perception of time, working hard at something for sake of a reward that comes afterward can make the hard work much more challenging and make us much less likely to lean into hard work in the future. My colleague at Stanford, Carol Dweck, as many of you know, has come up with this incredible theory and principle, and it actually goes beyond theory and principle, called growth mindset, which is this striving to be better, to be in this mindset of I'm not there yet, but striving itself is the end goal. And that, of course, delivers you to tremendous performance. It's been observed over and over and over again that people that have growth mindset, kids that have growth mindset, end up performing very well because they're focused on the effort itself. And all of us can cultivate growth mindset. The neural mechanism of cultivating growth mindset involves learning to access the rewards from effort and doing. And that's hard to do because you have to engage this prefrontal component of the mesolimbic circuit. You have to tell yourself, okay, this effort is great. This effort is pleasurable, even though you might actually be in a state of physical pain from the exercise. Or I can recall this from college, just feeling like I wanted to get up from my desk, but forcing myself to study, forcing myself. What you find over time is that you can start to associate a dopamine release. You can evoke dopamine release from the friction and the challenge that you happen to be in. You completely eliminate the ability to generate those circuits and the rewarding process of being able to reward friction while in effort if you are focused only on the goal that comes at the end.
Okay, crew, let me jump in there. I love what he just said, right? It just backs up what I was saying at the start, right? It just putting it into more complex terms. But I love that, right? The neuromechanism and the neural mechanism that we have to build is like what he's talking about, right? It's being able to have that pleasure from effort. And that's hard when you're going through what I hate this term, man, but we're going to use it, the grind, right? The grind. Now, what we've got to build in there, what he's talking about is he didn't want to, he forced himself to sit at that desk and study. Now, I talk about mental and physical fatigue and levels of that, understanding and awareness for performance, because you shouldn't be pushing past certain thresholds. But we all got to push, right? To a level. Like in the moment, we all just want to chill out, man, don't we? You know what I mean? We just want to live in hammocks. I've got a hammock downstairs, actually. I really love hammocks. But we all just want to chill out. But we also want the reward. We also want the result, right? And it's cause and effect. So we don't get one without the other. But what he's really talking about in the moment, right, when you're going through that friction, it's being able to become something called disassociated, or being able to interrupt that pattern of behavior or circuit to be able to then gain awareness over it, so you can make, what did I say at the start? A different decision in the moment, right? And that decision in the moment could be to give yourself another 30 minutes, right? Keep going for another 30 minutes, or get this section done, right? But even that concept, it goes against what he's talking about. So let me explain it a bit further. By even setting that goal of 30 minutes, like, I'm going to push on for this section or this 30 minutes. It's going to create the result, but it could be a painful, and also it could be actually psychologically and biologically damaging, to be honest, because you could push past the point. I know I've done it, and you feel like your nervous system's fried, or you feel sick. I've had to lay down many times, and you let yourself recover because you push too hard. But what he's talking about is a different concept. To be able to go through that friction, as he called it, which I kind of like, but that friction, and what he's talking about is being able to switch on and tell yourself in that moment, no, this is cool. This is awesome, man. I get to do this right now. Come on. Yeah, I love this. Type in this next words. I love it, man, because this is going to get the outcome, sure, but I actually like doing this stuff. No, I don't just like doing it. I love doing this stuff. This is epic. Right? That's a different concept. So if it's like doing training, again, my background's martial arts, right, which I trained at a decent level, a high level, and done since I was a little kid. And again, I don't like training. Who likes training? Training's harsh. It's horrible, right? But we want the result. So how do you make training more enjoyable? You say it to yourself in the moment. Yeah, let's go, man. Let's go. Come on, push. One more. Yeah, I love this. Let's go. And when you can do that, right, you get through another rep, another set, another combination. You hit pads for another time. And when you can do that, then it's kind of, you start wiring together that dopamine connection with that neural pathway, what he calls that neural mechanism, right? So you start to build that behavior, that micro habit changes into a bigger habit or a behavior. So look at your business right now. Look at, like, if you're in sales or you're launching or you're scaling, whatever it is you're doing, right? Look at what you're doing. So in that moment, right, you could be in that sale, or you could be about to go onto that call or video call or whatever it is, or meeting that client in person if you're in real estate. So you could be actually there, and there could be a moment before it's like, oh, man, I don't know if they're going to buy. I've got to do this again. Oh, my God, I've got to go through this system to get them to way above the buying line so I can make them emotionally connected to this. Oh, my God, I just don't, right? But in that moment, we become what? Disassociated, or we could become what? You got it. We become self-aware, or we interrupt that pattern and switch on a new neural pathway, or a new neural net, or a new predetermined version of us that already has established behaviors in. That's called a peak state. That's what I design, right? In the store for clients. That's how I'm able to double people's income. So when we start understanding in that moment, we switch on, we go, no, come on, there's the anchoring, right? There's the anchoring. Come on, switch this on. Prefrontal cortex, right? We start saying the words to ourselves. We got this, man. Let's do this. This is going to be awesome. This is going to be awesome. I know this is awesome. I get to do this. Let's go, right? You're not pumping yourself up in a fake way. What you're doing is switching circuits and you're releasing chemicals. Now we're doing that, everything changes, right? Everything changes in that moment. Suddenly, the emotion's different, that emotion's different, which means then we can go and kick ass. Does that make sense? How does that apply to your own business and life right now? Think about that.
Because of the way that dopamine marks time. So if you say, oh, I'm going to do this very hard thing, and I'm going to push and push and push and push for that end goal that comes later, not only do you enjoy the process of what you're doing less, you actually make it more painful while you're engaging in it. You make yourself less efficient at it, because if you were able to access dopamine while in effort, dopamine has all these incredible properties of increasing the amount of energy in our body and in our mind, our ability to focus by way of dopamine's conversion into epinephrine. But also, you are undermining your ability to lean back into that activity the next time. The next time you need twice as much coffee and 3 times as much loud music and 4 times as much energy drink and the social connection just to get out the door in order to do the run or to study. So what's more beneficial, in fact, can serve as a tremendous amplifier on all endeavors that you engage in, especially hard endeavors, is to not start layering in other sources of dopamine in order to get to the starting line, not layering in other sources of dopamine in order to be able to continue, but rather to subjectively start to attach the feeling of friction and effort to an internally generated reward system. And this is not meant to be vague. This is a system that exists in your mind, that exists in the minds of humans for hundreds of thousands of years, by which you're not just pursuing the things that are innately pleasurable, food, sex, warmth, water when you're thirsty, but the beauty of this mesolimbic reward pathway that I talked about earlier is that it includes the forebrain. So you can tell yourself the effort part is the good part. I know it's painful. I know this doesn't feel good, but I'm focused on this. I'm going to start to access the reward. You will find the rewards, meaning the dopamine release, inside of effort if you repeat this over and over again. And what's beautiful about it is that it starts to become reflexive for all types of effort. When we focus only on the trophy, only on the grade, only on the win as the reward, you undermine that entire process. So how do you do this? You do this in those moments of the most intense friction. You tell yourself, this is very painful, and because it's painful, it will evoke an increase in dopamine release later, meaning it will increase my baseline in dopamine. But you also have to tell yourself that in that moment, you are doing it by choice and you're doing it because you love it. And I know that sounds like lying to yourself, and in some ways it is lying to yourself, but it's lying to yourself in the context of a truth, which is that you want it to feel better. You want it to feel even pleasurable. Now, this is very far and away different from thinking about the reward that comes at the end, the hot fudge sundae for after you cross the finish line. And you can replace hot fudge sundae with whatever reward happens to be appealing to you. We revere people who are capable of doing what I'm describing. David Goggins comes to mind as a really good example. Many of you are probably familiar with David Goggins, former Navy SEAL, who essentially has made a post-military career out of explaining and sharing his process of turning the effort into the reward. There are many other examples of this too, of course. Throughout evolutionary history, There's no question that we revered people who were willing to go out and forage and hunt and gather and caretake in ways that other members of our species probably found exhausting and probably would have preferred to just put their feet up or soak them in a cool stream rather than continue to forage. The ability to access this pleasure from effort aspect of our dopaminergic circuitry is without question the most powerful aspect of dopamine and our biology of dopamine. And the beautiful thing is it's accessible to all of us.
Okay, crew, let me jump in there. I loved what you just said at the end, right? And again, are you seeing how it's backing up everything I've been speaking about? You getting it? Good. It's available to all of us. Do you get that? And no one's special. You know, well, some people are very special, you know, when you talk about Elon Musk, but everyone else is trained their brain and nervous system to respond how we want it, man. It's not rocket science. It's just micro decisions create micro habits. That's it. And then micro habits create habits, and habits then install in the unconscious or the subconscious, whatever you want to call it, mind, and that automates in the body mind, and that creates a behavior. Not rocket science. Maybe it is. It's not rocket science, is it? No, you know what I mean? So it's available to everybody. Everybody. So what the key thing is for high performance with entrepreneurs, salespeople, and all the people that I love to work with, is I'm not here to motivate you. No, man. And this is what drives me crazy about when people use the word mindset. For a start, it's just a burnt out word, and the podcast has been going for so long. It's all about mindset, right? But it's not really about mindset. It's about building behaviors. It's about building high performance. And you probably noticed, if you're a regular listener, and then you go on to other podcasts or you work with other coaches, that they're really kind of shit. Do you know what I mean? There's not really in-depth knowledge or wisdom or experience. So I've been doing this for 20 years and working with the best in the world. There's a reason. I create results because I understand how to activate behaviors and peak states. Why? Because I've competed at a high level in martial arts growing up. Why? Because I've put myself in wild circumstances and I've rebuilt my life many, many times to become known as one of the top mental performance coaches in the world. And it's not by accident. I train my brain 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And you might go, that's bullshit, Andy. No way are you. You speak to my girl. You know, she's been on the podcast a couple of times. Stephanie, research Stephanie. We've got some episodes a couple of years ago. She's a badass, but you'll see me. Before she wakes out of bed, I've done an hour audio. I have tuned my brain before I get out of bed, and then I meditate, and then I program, and then I read stuff, and then I write stuff. I'm constantly training my brain. When I go to sleep, I am listening to very specific things because I know that as my brainwave frequency changes, I start to drift off. I'm embedding commands of certain autobiographies or spiritual books or business books or performance books, or even just sometimes just some fun stuff, fun comedy stuff, you know? But it's all to, again, train my brain. During the day, between clients, I'm changing states. I'm using anchoring, right? I'm using environmental, external, internal anchoring to create trigger points. You know what I mean? I'm doing all of this stuff, but, you know, then you get other people going, hey, it's mindset. No, it's not. It's so much deeper than that. And that's why that's why I'm taking my brand and who I am to a whole new level, because it needs sharing. This stuff needs sharing because it drives me crazy. The crap that's out there in the world, man. And I know I'm ranting on, and I'll shut up for you, but it's true, man. It's absolutely true. But let's go and listen to more Andrew Huberman, because I love this guy.
But just to highlight the things that can interfere with and prevent you from getting dopamine release from effort itself, don't spike dopamine prior to engaging in effort. And don't spike dopamine after engaging in effort. Learn to spike your dopamine from effort itself. When we receive rewards, even if we give ourselves rewards for something, we tend to associate less pleasure with the actual activity itself that evoked the reward. Now, that might seem counterintuitive, but that's just the way that these dopaminergic circuits work. And now understanding these peaks and baselines in dopamine, which I won't review again, this should make sense. If you get a peak in dopamine from a reward, it's going to lower your baseline, and the cognitive interpretation is that you didn't really do the activity because you enjoyed the activity, you did it for the reward. Now, this doesn't mean all rewards of all kinds are bad, but it's also important to understand that dopamine controls our perception of time. When and how much dopamine we experience is the way that we carve up what we call our experience of time. When we engage in an activity, let's say school or hard work of any kind or exercise, because of the reward we are going to give ourselves or receive at the end, the trophy, the sundae, the meal, whatever it happens to be, we actually are extending the time bin over which we are analyzing or perceiving that experience. And because the reward comes at the end, we start to dissociate the neural circuits for dopamine and reward that would have normally been active during the activity. And because it all arrives at the end, over time, we have the experience of less and less pleasure from that particular activity while we're doing it.
Let me jump in there, crew. I love it again. We've used disassociation. You probably heard that word and him use that word. And we used it in different contexts. What I was talking about is be able to disassociate from the pain in the moment, and that allows you then to keep pushing, but we're using our language or our cortex to be able to change our focus and be able to start hitting dopamine in that moment and connecting it to that neural circuit, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense, So I love what he's talking about because it's connected to our time perception. If we're then connecting the dopamine to the outcome too much, then what we're doing is we're going to create the dopamine hit or the circuit that we're building for high performance during the task, and we're going to make it flat because it's all about the end. So then we lose, all we're working off is willpower. And willpower as a battery, it's limited, right? We can only have so much. I can't even remember the studies, but I'm sure I've said them before in the podcast. But the studies show that willpower has it's so much we have per day before we're tapped out. You know what I mean? So we don't want to work off willpower. We want to work off unconscious behaviors or unconscious patterns, right? Because that's how we do stuff. That's how we walk. That's how you're able to drive a car. That's also how we're able to create consistent results day after day after day after day after day after day, because we teach you to be present, your nervous system switched on in the correct, your neurologies in the correct circuit, which is the peak state or the specific state for that task. And this is how I kick ass for you. This is what we do. If that's complicated, then I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. I make it very simple when I work with people. I just tell them to do this, click that, press that, use this, right? But to explain it, it gets a bit complicated. But hopefully I made it nice and simple. So that's it, crew. The end of episode 384. I love Huberman, man. I love this guy. He's the GOAT. Not literally a goat. That means the greatest of all time. And I'm sure you knew that. But you know what I mean? That's it. Making it simple, kicking ass, and making your career and yourself into the best version that you can be, because that creates a ripple effect through your family, through freedom, and financially, right? So if that's you, and this is what you want, you make sure right now you're heading over to unfairadvantage.online, unfairadvantage.online, or join my mailing list, and we'll get everything sorted. I've got so many things on the go, it's wild. So I am a little bit behind with launching stuff, Not the Unfair Advantage Academy, just launching new websites and things to give you updates. And so the best thing to do is just follow me on social. Andy Murphy Mindset. I am cranking out content for you, and we're just about to start pumping out a video a day of clips of my advice, tips and tricks every single day. So yeah, 30 a month plus the podcast plus everything else. Content's going to be everywhere, and I want it all for you to help you. So Andy Murphy Mindset, come and find me somewhere, Instagram or Facebook. And what else? That's it. You have an amazing week. Until the next time. I think I'm still going to put a clip show out this week, but you keep kicking ass. Much, much love. And until the next time, why don't you smile for me?
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode of the Mindset by Design podcast with your host and NLP expert, Andy Murphy. We'll catch you next time.